I was already thinking of if I should quit. Anybody I spoke to told me, do not do this.
One advice for all the kids out there, if they want to make a career in art.
So there's an atelier system, which is there are schools in Europe and US. There is a student-teacher relationship, like a very close relationship.
Do you think YouTube is a good space where artists can learn and get their education from?
The whole concept, the whole storyline of what a realist artist is depicting is extremely complex. One of the very important things actually which I learned.
Alright, Amit sir, welcome to Let's Be Canvas. It's an honor for me to have you here today and to get to talk to you, to have a conversation with you, to know about your experience, your background. I'm sure all the people and all the kids who are going to watch this podcast today, they're going to take a lot out of it. And I'm very excited to start this with you. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, I'm feeling very excited, Sneha. Thank you very much for having me on your platform. So yeah, it is. So I've not done many of these podcasts, so I'm kind of really looking forward. I'm excited. Thank you.
Actually, you happen to be the second one who comes from a traditional background. So all the podcasts that I have done so far, either they are self-taught or they probably had an experience or they went to a college, but then they had switched over. They started with something else. They went into a design agency or started their own design agency. So you're the second one. Nilisha was the first one that, I got to talk to her yesterday and it was amazing.
Very nice. Yeah, she's a wonderful artist.
She's fabulous. I absolutely love her work.
Right.
And I went through your work. I saw your Instagram. I can see that you paint like the old masters. I can see that there's a touch, there's an element of that old style that's still there in your artwork and how it's very beautifully presented. So I'd love to know about that. But before that, I want to know about your little bit about your childhood or what have you studied. I know that you're from IIT, which is a huge badge to wear. But I'd love to know more about it. What happened? Why did you get into IIT? And then why did you switch over?
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. If you talk about my childhood, some of the memories that I have, when I was around 8 or 9, I clearly remember there was one very nice picture of my granddad, which was there, and I kind of was itching to draw him. So as kids we all draw, and I had a very great urge to draw him, and when I finally drew it, it came out quite nice for that that age, and everybody around, my parents and my grandmom, they all saw it and they were like, "Wow, this has come out very nice." And my dad, I clearly remember he said, "Yeah, I think you should do art," but those days. It was kind of in my school art was not there as a subject, but now there is, and there are many more opportunities now, but back then they were primary mainstream careers that you would choose from. So yeah, I was moderately good at studies, so engineering is also what I wanted to do. So art kind of fizzled out, I would say, but I could clearly remember I could draw well, and whenever I got the time, I used to. But portraits is something that you attracted me even back then, and I drew. I remember like I used to like Amitabh Bachchan, so it was a very nice picture of him in a magazine. So I drew that, and again to my surprise, it came out well. So I think there was a little bit of natural inclination also, and a natural understanding of proportions, which is I feel is required if you're doing at least realism or portraits. But yeah, it was till that only, and I finally got into preparing for my engineering and got into IIT-Delhi and studied, and then job happened. So,
Wait. I want you to hold on there. Because I do have a few questions about your childhood first. I believe that the people who like to express in a certain way most of the times they choose such different kind of careers, the career of dance, the career of painting, the career of singing. So I want to know that, did you always know that you were a little different? I don't know if different is the right word, but did you want to express in a certain way that other kids didn't probably get to notice, or didn't probably indulge themselves into that kind of expression?
See, I definitely have memories of sitting in class in school as well as in IIT, and simply just drawing all the way. Not not really paying attention to what's going on in the class, but kind of keeping on doodling. But I won't say that I was very clear or I thought very differently about myself. Uh, till when I was working. I was 7 or 8 years into my job. That is when it started taking a very different turn, and it started growing in a very different way, such that I could not keep it down. So yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about it, we can go there.
Before that, how were you in studies? Back in school, I know you got into IIT, so that speaks for itself. But when you were in school, were you always attentive? Were you always the kind of student who was interested in studies?
I was doing moderately well till my 10th, and now after that I got a little more serious because you have to 11th and 12th is when you really have to pay attention if you want to.
You did your schooling in Delhi?
Yes.
So you're born and brought up, you're from Delhi.
Yeah. Born and brought up in Delhi. Yes.
Do you want to say which school did you study from?
Yeah, I went to Greenfield School. It's in Sadarjung Enclave. So yeah, till about 9th or 10th, I was kind of moderately an average student, but then I kind of started taking things more seriously because you have to crack the engineering entrance. And
Okay, all right. So your parents asked you to get into IIT. Was that the dream for them?
actually, on the contrary, like my dad wanted me to take commerce, and because he was in and out of different businesses, and he was kind of very entrepreneur kind of. He had a,
Okay.
but he kind of started many things and shut them down. So, but he wanted me to take commerce and perhaps do CA or something. But I had an inclination towards engineering, so I decided to take science. And
Okay, wonderful. And after you got into your college, how was the experience there?
yeah, IIT definitely has been one of my best 5 years. So I did integrated MTech, which is a BTech and MTech inclusive. So yes, uh, I mean I wasn't. It was like a big push to get into IT, and then when we are there, I was kind of I enjoyed my time there, and so yes, again there were a few courses which interested me, but most of them are I kind of was moderately interested, and so yeah, that's how it was.
Engineering, you do have to sketch because my father is an engineer. So I used to see his books. He's a mining.
Yeah, so depending on what stream you took, but the first year is kind of very common, and there are courses where you have to do. There's an engineering drawing course where you have to draft some machine equipments, and so those were definitely courses which I did very well.
Of course. Yeah. Okay, so after your college, then what happened? What kind of profession did you choose?
I got into software development, and I joined a few startups in Delhi, and so yeah, basically, I mean, they were all startups, and some of the companies which were founded by US based engineers, and they wanted to start an office in Delhi, so I joined them, and I shifted between various startups, and finally, towards the end of before I quit, I joined Infosys at Bangalore.
Okay. Okay, you were in Bangalore. How long were you here?
Uh, I was in Bangalore. I mean, I stayed for about 4 years, but the Infosys stint was very short. That was one of my last. That was my last job actually before I finally quit and got into art.
So what happened? You were working, everything. I'm sure there was a stable income. That for artists it's very difficult. And once you start getting stable income, to switch over and know that okay, now for a while I might not be able to get that kind of money. I don't know if that happened with you or not, but that definitely happened with me. So it's a big leap. So what happened?
Yeah, so that's a good question because as I said, 7 or 8 years into my job, I kind of wasn't finding it so I kind of had taken a kind of a boring turn, and as I said, I used to sketch as a child, and I was sketching even in my last final years in IIT, and so that sketching part was kind of growing within me, and I was trying to find local good teachers who could, where I could further, hone my skill. So yeah, it kind of when I was learning with them over the weekends, so it kind of was growing within me, and I wanted to do it better, and I wanted to devote more time to it, and therefore that itch of how can I continue my day job like a full time job and work or even practice. I won't say I won't call myself a part time artist or anything because I was still kind of learning and I wanted to do it well. So again, my realistic portraiture was what was drawing me, and I was learning from teachers who had studied in US, and so they were introducing me to some of the old masters, and I was doing some old.
Did you start learning already?
I was working. I found some teachers close by who really had a good foundation, and I was kind of drawn to their work. So yeah, so and that's how it kind of started growing, and I wanted to devote more and more time to it. And again, I was in a kind of a in two minds. How can I you know carry both the things? So there was a day I clearly remember, which was kind of a day where I could clearly make a decision. I was already thinking of if I should quit, and I was speaking to a lot of people, but I was not convinced. And anybody I spoke to told me, do not do this. Right? So that day, I clearly remember I started painting a still life around 4 or 5 in the evening, and I had drawn the curtains, so they were very like blackout curtains, which will not allow outside light to come in. So I had set up a still life, and made some artificial light fall on it, and I started painting. I remember my mom coming in and saying, dinner is ready, and I said, yeah, please keep it. I'll have it. And I remember, when I put down the brush and I turned and looked back at the clock, it was 4 in the morning. And I was completely zapped. I was full of energy. I was full of energy, like looking at what I had created and finishing it. And I was like, wow, I didn't feel the need to take a break or even a washroom break or even, I didn't feel hungry or, to eat my dinner or anything and didn't realize how time went by. That day I was so convinced that in my life I should be doing this. So that was definitely a conviction that came that day. But then I had to plan a lot of things financially. I had a few liabilities like a home loan, and so I next couple of years, I think it took another 4 years for me to finally quit from that day. Because I mean, it's not like a honeymoon. You simply quit and people will say, "Oh, this guy is following his passion," because you'll soon run out of the necessary finances. Or, I mean, if you make a hasty decision, it cannot be a hasty decision. So I kind of decided that I should be. So I kind of got rid of my home loan and things like that, and I saved for my education. But then in Bangalore, again, I found another very good teacher wherein my art kind of grew very much. and then I kind of really took the decision to you know call it quits.
I can connect with your story quite a bit because I was also working at that time. I was working as an interior designer and I was very unhappy. But the good thing, I was probably lucky that I didn't have a lot of liabilities on me. I had just left college and I studied interior designing. Before that, I did international business management. That didn't work out for me. Before that, I flew as a cabin crew. That didn't work out for me. So once I was in my 9 to 5 job and I would go and I realized that this is not me. I was pretending, I was playing this character every day from 9 to 5 and I was coming back home and I was very unhappy. And as you said that there was a day when you realized that this is what you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, that particular day, you realize that, okay, fine, for you also, you've gone through a proper professional courses, education. So, I had gone through like 5 years of engineering and I had already put in like 8, 9 years of, in my job. And, you think, okay, you're going to put that aside. And one thought is, you want to keep building and you keep growing in your career. You've already invested about 15, 20 years. But the idea is, what do you want to do with the rest of your life, rest of your 30, 40 years, So I realized that in this lifetime, this is what I should be doing. It was a very clear message for me. And till date, I don't regret that. I mean, I won't say, I mean, I would definitely have made much more money if I was continuing what I was doing. But there are no regrets. Whatever I do completely flows. I never feel like taking a break. It's simply, I mean, it's a very joyful journey. It has been.
And your work definitely shows. So no complaints for the audience as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, yeah, now that I want to know about the learning time, because the people who are going to watch, the kids who are going to watch this podcast, most of them, I am assuming they are going to be the ones who are thinking how to get into art. That is the biggest question that they are going to have. And how do they sort of get out of what they are doing? Still, as you said, it's not a fancy romantic honeymoon life that we live in. This is a practical reality. So if someone wants to jump out of what they're doing, they need to have a solid backup. Before that, I believe the most important thing, the most important backup is to know what you're doing, to be confident in your craft. And for that, to get the right learning, to get the right education is very important. So I want to ask you this. You always knew that you wanted to be a portrait artist?
So it's. I mean, I won't call myself a portrait artist. It is just that I have done a lot of portraits. So yeah, people can call me that. But I do a lot of still lifes and landscapes as well. And my still lifes have done really well. So portraits definitely now I do on a commission basis, and but I do some figurative art, which is not like a portrait is a like kind of a, you would say, a little bit of a close up or a person's life story or something. But I do figurative art and also a lot of still lives. But yeah, definitely I was drawn to the human face and the human figure. So, I mean, if you ask me, see, I was very clear that I'm kind of moving from one field to a very completely new field. And like any professional field, you have to be, good at what you're doing. So, and any field has its own nuances, has its own so-called secrets or how to go about things. For example, there are very there are correct ways to do to make a painting. There are mistakes that one can commit, and so that for example, let's take oil painting. So a very basic thing is you have to go fat over lean. You have to go thicker paint over leaner paint. So I mean, these are some very basic things which one can go through in YouTube tutorials also, and in it is taught in the basics in art schools. But having said that, there are many more nuances which are taken care of when you go through a formal education, when you learn with a teacher or at an art school. So I was clear as to what I wanted to do and how I wanted to paint. So at the level of the old masters, you can say I'm nowhere close to that right now, but um, and I realized that some of the art. I mean, I was like I didn't want to get into a college and go through a lot many theory courses. I'm not saying they don't help, but I wanted to straight on get into hands-on painting, like painting day in day out is what I wanted to do, and learn the proper methods of understanding the human body, the human figure. So so there's an atelier system which is wherein there are schools in like in Europe and US where there are private schools, I would say, where there is a student teacher relationship, like a very close relationship, and they're generally founded by one master artist, and there are live models who would come and pose for you. You can draw them as portraits or full figure. So I wanted to go through that kind of atelier training that will allow me to master the human figure in terms of drawing, in terms of painting. So that's how I kind of researched some of the schools and decided to go for the Ryder Studio.
Did that happen in India when you started learning in India? Did you get to have the same experience here?
Uh, it was a good foundation when I started learning in India. So that foundation helped me to make the right decision and choose the right kind of school. And that foundation definitely helped me. So like the Rider Studio has a 1 year curriculum, and unlike some of the other schools which have a 3 year curriculum, so wherein one full year goes to drawing. So when I was learning with my teacher here in India, I kind of went through the drawing phase. It was a 6 month training, and I kind of got a very good foundation in drawing. So I realized I could directly focus on painting now. And that's why. So I studied with Anthony Ryder for 2 years. Like I went back to him again and studied another year.
Still there? Are they still teaching?
Yeah.
They're teaching. Okay, okay. All right. And then after that, so yeah, my question was this only, that how do you, you need to have a solid background before you jump into something, uh, anything, you call it passion, you call it, whatever you want to call, but to have the right education is, I believe, very important. Some of the people don't get that kind of luxury, maybe, because what happens is they study, maybe you have studied engineering. After that, not everyone can go back and study again. So they need to probably have another method, another space where they can learn. Do you think YouTube is a good space where artists can learn and get their education from?
See, I've not followed YouTube tutorials as such, and I cannot say if YouTube. I'm not sure if there are certain teachers, good teachers, who've made a structured course. I want to tell you that whatever you do, it should be a kind of a structured course that flows from one point to the next to the next. So somebody who can take you from wherever you are and make you grow. Take care of your mistakes or shortcomings and make you. I mean, basically, somebody who can take you uh, through the months or the years, wherever you are. So let's say you're following a couple of teachers and couple of artists on YouTube. I'm not sure if you will be able to see how you're growing. So what I mean to say, it should be a structured course where they teach you some basics, and once you master those, then you go to the next level, and then the next level, then you go to color. So if you're talking about realism, you first get a foundation in drawing, light and shadow, and then you move to color. So if there are such courses, and another very important thing with education is getting a critique from your teacher. So simply following a tutorial or a channel on YouTube, I'm not sure if you are getting the critique. You, as a student, will not know what your shortcomings are. A teacher basically will show you. One of the very important things, actually, which I learned, which was an eye opener for me, was that a good teacher uh, only improves your seeing, only improves your observation. You know, for example, I want to tell you. Let's say you want to draw a face, a proper portrait. So you won't draw it wrong on purpose, right? Let's say let's say somebody draws it and doesn't do a good job, but he did his best. He or she would have done his best, but still he could not have seen his shortcomings, because if you know that okay, a line should have been like this, but you drew it like this, so you would erase it and draw it like that, right? If you can see it, if it is wrong, you would correct it, right? Only because you cannot able to see that you drew it wrong is because you end up with a wrong portrait or an incorrect looking portrait. So a good teacher only improves your seeing. He or she will make you see better, and once you see better, you will be able to draw better, because you won't draw incorrect on purpose, right? If you see something is wrong, you will correct it. Yeah, that's it. So I mean, it was because he would make me see a lot of things which I was completely missing out till that point, and after that, I would always see that. So it's something like, it's human way of seeing. It is said that when Columbus reached America, the natives over there, they did not see the ship. They only saw the people, because they've seen people. You've already seen people. They never had seen a ship. It took them some time to realize there was a huge ship on which they were coming. So it is something like that, something which you've not seen, a mistake which you have never seen. A lot of times we commit these mistakes because we have been drawing wrong, or we've been taught wrong throughout school. For example, a lot of people make the eye like an almond shape, like a fish. But there is so much, anatomy, so much of, features within the eye, you know. So a lot of students, when they start out, they would draw the eye like this and with a circle in between, and they're done. So whether you are seeing a person from the front or from the side, they would still draw the eye like that. So it takes a while for you to understand. Okay, the teacher will tell you, okay, you're seeing it from the side, so it is like this, and then you say, oh, aha. So
I believe you also teach because you do sound like a good teacher. So, do you teach as well?
Yeah, I don't teach like on regular classes, but I take workshops, like portrait painting workshops. I've taken several of them in Bangalore, in Delhi.
Would love to attend one of your workshops.
Certainly, certainly, yeah.
So when are you taking next? Have you planned off your workshop?
Did, but this year there should be one in Bangalore. Before COVID, I had planned to take every year one workshop, once a year. It used to be a 5-day workshop, and I used to take it in Venkatappa Art Gallery. So it's quite intensive, actually. We used to draw from a live model, and I used to give a demonstration one full day, and students used to draw after that. So it's quite an intense learning experience, because drawing or even painting from a live model is not something people are used to doing, and yeah. So, but there's a lot of learning that goes on in that process.
There's one more thing that I feel when you learn from YouTube, because I also did, I enrolled for a small course last year when I had time, when I was not going for murals that much. So everything was really good. Their procedures, the teachings were they were fantastic. But the only problem was there was less discipline from my side. Sometimes, even as a student, it's very important to show up regularly even when you're not feeling like it, which does not happen,
That's what they tell in art school also. If whether you're feeling sick, or even if you're feeling not feeling very down or low, just show up. Just come to the class and show up. Is half the job is done when you just show up.
Right. So that did not happen from my side. And then I would have projects once in a while, every month, probably twice. So that would take 4 days each project. And then I would come back home very drained and tired. So I don't know where did that course go. I can't find it in my email anymore. I'd already paid for it. But that's when I realized that, if I really have to learn, if I really want to, learn something new, I need to go to a physical institute where I can have the critique of the guru. One more thing that I have totally missed out on, which I feel, I don't know, this life is my life where I have to have self learning, is what I believe. So I have accepted that, but I never really got the blessing or the opportunity to have the right guru in my life. So I feel that, having the right mentor is very, very important. As you said, to have the critique, to have someone who can judge and tell you where to go is very important. And for artists like us who didn't get the opportunity to have someone like that, there's a lot of self critique that happens, and sometimes it's not fair. Sometimes it's not right. Sometimes we over critique or under critique as well. Sometimes we feel, oh, we are doing great, but probably you're not. So
Yeah, this is one of the things I spoke to Anthony when I was leaving. I said, I mean, obviously you should be a lifelong student of the arts, and because you cannot say, okay, today I'm making it's my best work, and so it's like then you kind of reach a stagnation point. So I asked him, how can I once I'm out of the school, how can I critique? So he gave me some ideas and how you can self critique your work. And it's, I mean, you come back to it after a few days, and very objectively you have to um, look at it, and there are certain guidelines based on which you can self critique. I mean, definitely it cannot replace an actual guru looking at your work and giving you, because you know he can tell you so much more based on his experience and his own you know because he also is growing as he's doing it. And another thing I learned is, I mean, which I also saw it with my own experiences. When you teach, you are also growing in that process, because you're kind of breaking down the process for everybody to follow, and it kind of lays down things very clearly, and kind of clarifies your thought process as well. So yeah, teaching is also important, but yeah, once you reach a certain level, you can get into teaching, because that will also improve your art.
right. This with your answer, I have one question, which is, I think, in everyone's mind, the artist, the non-artist, everyone really sort of, we all want to know this one thing, and I think it's very perspective oriented, but I'd still like to know your point of view. According to you, what is good art and bad art? Where do you draw the line?
Okay, so I mean, as you know, and you've been, because you asked this question, so you kind of uh, falling in that you are actually making things fall in that category of this is good, this is bad. But that is very subjective. It is coming from your opinion, your point of view, how you see things, what are you drawn to as a person. So and literally, like I've seen in some of the very big fairs also, some of the things, like I have personally become very open to what I see now, and it's not like I'm doing it. It's coming from within. Now I don't feel so detested looking at a piece as I used to do earlier. Sometimes you think, oh, okay, you've heard a lot of these comments. People would say, oh, my 5-year-old kid can do this, right? So, well, actually, every artist has his or her own journey, and you may think, okay, this piece sold for so many $1 million. What the hell is this? So, well, I mean, I don't say anything good or bad. Somebody thinks it's nice or it's worth buying for that much amount of money. So he or she liked it, and that's why they got it. So, like, there are 8 billion people on the planet, there are 8 billion choices, 8 billion likes and dislikes. Well, they can, yeah. Even if there is one person who likes your piece and wants to buy it, that's fine and fair, right? So, but then, yeah, you can ask about what is popular, what is not so popular, and
Let's talk about that then. What is popular according to you?
no, not according to me, because I like to do what I'm doing, and I really like to tell my stories through, like I recently did a series on the urban Indian woman. She's come a long way from where she was even a few decades earlier. Like, I see my mom, and now I see my cousins and my sisters and my peers. So she's really gone out. She's become very independent. Considering a developing nation like India, the Indian woman has, you know, developed, or I would say, progressed a lot more than the Indian man. She has really gone out and you know gone into all those fields which were kind of considered male dominated. You know, now you can see Indian women fighter pilots also. So yeah, I mean, so that series of mine was about a woman enjoying her independence and her self-reliance. So depends on how what you want to do and what you want to say and how you want to say it. So for me, what I want to say, I say it through through the genre of representational art, realism, as you can call it. Another artist may want to say it through another expression of his. But the idea of good or bad, or is definitely, as I say, is in the eyes of the viewer. A lot of times when I used to speak to somebody who's in an abstract piece, they would say it is up to your interpretation. What do you see in it? And slowly, I mean, I didn't get it then, but it is like that now. Some of those abstract pieces do appeal to me in terms of their design, in terms of their color choices, because even those colors, speak to you. They appeal to you. You would know that a different palette will not appeal to you as much. Maybe how, let's say, like a warmer palette appeals to me much more than cooler or duller palette. So colors also appeal to you. Design appeals to you, and therefore, yeah, that's you should not be very, I would say, hard lined in the sense that this is good or this is bad. But yeah, still, I mean, there would be some things which I would completely not able to digest today as of now.
Yeah, but I do agree with your point. Uh, Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and as you said, there's so many people in this world. Everyone can have their own perspective, but don't you think that the at least like a bare composition, or at least the color theory, something that is pleasing to the eye? Don't you think that there is one thing in human brain that is quite similar to all, like the way I feel that when you see something, when you see a place which is not very appealing, it won't be appealing to most of the people. We can't really, yeah, we can't really do.
It could be popular. Something could be popular, or something could be, depends on how many people like it, and maybe a few people are in that category. So it's something like even like cinema. There is popular Bollywood blockbuster movies.
Okay, so even in cinema, do you think that there's no, do you draw the line of good and bad, or do you refrain from that? That no, even if,
No, I like so I want to tell you that with time, your like, for example, my feelings have changed towards certain art pieces. Like, I can say, there was a time when I used to hate Sousa's drawings, but over time there is something different that I see, and I s- so nothing like, I'm not kind of justifying or anything, but there is I'm able to see a little beyond what I used to see earlier. So maybe it happens with, as you see more and more work, as you meet or interact with more and more artists and listen to their journeys, listen to their viewpoints, it kind of changes something within you.
Yeah. I agree with you. There's this one artist that I absolutely hated throughout my life, and this artist is one of the biggest name in the world. And I would always I don't know if you are this so I would always stand in front of his work and think that anyone can make this. Why is it selling for so much money? And then now that I've grown up and I know his life story, I know how much he has worked, and I've seen his work before. I mean, previously, the ones that he had done. And now that I see his work, the late, the ones that are the most expensive ones, I realize why it is the way it is.
And yeah, you need to really, an artist does not really start making what you're seeing today on day one. It has been a journey. He has arrived at that work. He has arrived at that signature work of his through years of doing something else, and he arrived there. Anybody can look at any piece of work and say, "Okay, I can do this," but did you arrive there? So, as an artist, you also have to arrive at something through your years of toil and struggle. And yeah, there are many pieces one may think, okay, this is very simple. It's not like that. Anything which you're seeing, let's say, what an art fair, there are people who can copy literally anything. So it is not about that you can make it, but did you think of it? How did you arrive there? That is the journey which is important.
I agree with you on that. So, in today's day and age, when I was probably 18, 19, 20, at that time, social media didn't really exist. Or even if it did, it was not the way it is right now. Today, in social media, you're literally selling your work. You are becoming a personal brand. You are talking about your business. And I think it's a great platform to have. I also get a lot of clients from social media. But, the other side is the madness of likes and views. So for us as an artist, we might have made something which is amazing, which is really something that you wanted to express, but then you put on social media and it does not get that much of amount of likes as you expected it to be, or the reel does not blow up, it doesn't become viral. How do you think that is affecting the today's generation artist, the ones who want to get projects from social media?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. See, and I'm not sure if I'm the right person to answer that because I have been a little. I'm there on social media, but it does not affect me whether how my account is growing because I'm not really investing. I don't. I'm not getting my clients or my business from my Instagram or my Facebook or whatever, and I'm not investing my time and effort as you can see. Like I said, I was asking you a few things about how to do this and that. So yeah, but yeah, if you want social media to be your main channel of getting works and business or more clients, then yeah, definitely you have to invest, as you would know it, to understand the do's and don'ts. We keep hearing about Instagram's algorithm changing, and so and about posting regularly, so things like that. And then nothing can beat physical networking. Is what I feel. Definitely, social media, you can reach out to many people who are not physically around you, but still, like you would know, like you've been doing murals, and like initially you would have done one, and somebody would have seen it, and from there you got another one, and now maybe because you've done so many, people see it, and perhaps you getting much more work through people seeing your work physically and meeting you personally than through social media. But yeah, I cannot say really comment on. But it's a. I can say that. I mean, I personally feel I don't get not to get too attached to the likes and dislikes or likes or how many views you're getting. Yeah. So because I personally take a lot of pleasure in creating what I'm doing, and I mean, I'm not the right person to ask that question, frankly. But the thing is, a lot of times I don't even I'm not even thinking about making a video of when I'm painting. Or I'm simply kind of a little immersed in what I'm doing. Or forget about taking videos or in progress photographs.
To be honest, I am very much into social media because my most of my work used to come from social media. At least now, of course, with time, the contacts has built, and there is more on the physical connection aspect. But then I actually should make lot more videos is what I feel, because social media gave me a lot, and I started my work because of Instagram. And now I'm not investing much because I genuinely do not feel like taking videos when I'm painting. When you're painting, your mind needs to be there, especially when I'm doing canvas. When I'm doing murals, it's still fine because there's a videographer who is there for me, with me. But when I'm painting in my studio, I cannot think about whether the camera is working, whether I'm taking that, I don't know, 30 seconds reel format. I just feel I cannot do that. I used to take that much amount of pain before, but my something in me just doesn't allow me anymore. I feel like it's better to dedicate my mind into art rather than focusing more on how the videos are turning out.
Yeah, I feel when you're working on a painting, it's a very personal moment. It's a personal interaction between you and the artwork, and you cannot think about looking good because the video is being shot.
True, true. And you have to make sure that you're sitting the right way, your painting is visible. For canvas, I have decided to not invest. It's a personal choice, it's a decision that I had to come to, that I would just show my murals and do the canvas for my own self, for my own sanity, for my own peace. That takes a lot out of you. Social media, as much as it is good, it is really helping a lot of artists. I'll just give you an example. There's one artist, he probably just started a year back, and if you see his work, it's really, I mean, to each its own. He's really good, he's doing very well, but he hasn't really learned that much. And for some reason, all his reels went viral because of the way he took the videos, and now he gets brand deals, he's earning a lot. So where is the I don't know what to say, what is right and what is wrong, because in today's world, it seems like there's no right and wrong. Whatever works. Someone who has given 10-15 years to their work versus someone who has given 6 months is probably earning more because of social media. So the moral ground is very bleak right now.
See, this is the reality, but again, I want to tell you that it all depends on how you want to see yourself. Uh, Definitely, I mean, you may get a little perturbed by, okay, I've learned so much, I've invested so much, I've been painting through all these years, and this guy who's just come is earning. So, if it is about the earning, then definitely you'll get disturbed and think. But if you have a plan as to how you want to see yourself as an artist, or how you want to be known as an artist, and if you are on track on that plan, then you won't get disturbed. For example, for example, in the sense that if you for example, that person may be getting very different. The people who are seeing his work and are liking his work and are giving him works could be of a different nature. If you want your art to be collected by people who are collectors, like serious collectors who collect art, who collect well-known artists, master artists, if you want to be seen in that category, if you want to be one of the names that are known outside, I mean, the social media thing, in terms in the if you want your work to be hanging in good collectors places, houses, so you have to see yourself in a very different way, and think about yourself or your strategy in a different way, and obviously make works in a, so you won't be doing those jazzy reels or things. You will be really focused on what work you are bringing out. And then, I mean, there are different channels. I mean, uh, doing shows and meeting galleries or curators, showing your work to them. But that's a very different road than some of the social media people who are there on social media, artists who are there on social media and doing very good reels going viral. But I'm not sure if because some of the very good artists I know who are there with some of the best galleries, they have literally zero social media presence. Yeah, very few followers, and but they are actually selling in huge lakhs. So depends on what you want to be known for and what you want to, what is where do you want to see yourself as an artist. And definitely the youngsters will beat the hell out of a lot of the older artists when it comes to social media. So and definitely you'll see when a let's say a corporate company or a layman sees a very eye-catching reel, they'll get wowed and they'll say, "Wow, this artist looks really great." And I know some several speed artists, you who would take both hands and do that, and the reels will go viral. But nothing. But yeah, I mean, see, nothing right or wrong over there. Again, it depends on what you want to do and where do you want to see yourself, maybe 5 years or 10 years down the line. If you are on the right track, you will not get disturbed. If you have a goal, if you have a path for yourself. But definitely, if you keep thinking, okay, this guy is earning so much, he came just last year, and then definitely it will create a problem.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. Okay, so let's talk about your art now, some of your work. So I would like to start with the recent painting that I saw on your Instagram. Uh, is that a what you tell us? What kind of painting is that? Is that a representational art that?
So recently, like I posted a small reel about I was like I do some I do commissions also. I do commissions like portrait commissions, and then I do commissions in the form of I paint book covers for Penguin Random House. Yeah, so sometimes if it is a portrait, like it was like
Tell me the name of one book.
I did a portrait of General Vipin Rawat. His biography had come out by Rachna Bisht Rawat. So sometimes they like me to paint the person, and that is taken as a uh, book cover. Yeah. So I specifically paint for that particular project for that particular book, and recently I did. Uh, you know, I painted these seven of the Kargil War heroes as if they came back from war. All of them, they came back alive, as if they stood together posing for a photograph. So I painted, I used different pictures and I showed them, I imagined them standing together after the war, you know.
It's going to be 25th anniversary of our Kargil War.
It's good. The book is going to come out. It's going to be the next edition of the book has already it came out 5 years back, but now it has a few more stories, few new stories are also there. So there will be a fresh cover which I painted. So I think that's the latest one I have put.
So when we day before yesterday when we had our conversation, you did mention that the person that you learned from, he comes from the ancestral lineage of Da Vinci, and that was extremely exciting for me. I I don't know how it is, to be honest, because we have only heard about this great master, we have only read about him, and to come from his bloodline, I'm sure the person who has taught you, I can't even fathom the fact how much of the amount of knowledge that this person must have, and to get education from that person must be something. So I do want to talk about that. How was your experience learning from him? And when I see your work, I also see, as I said, that I see that the old master's style, that kind of artwork is there. When I see your work, if you hadn't told me that you painted now, maybe this year, I would have thought it's many, many years ago someone painted this. So I'm sure that comes from there. So please tell me about that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a very good question. And how it happened was one of the days, there was a small library in the Ryder studio where I learned, and in one of the books there was a page, and it was a very like it was a normal, slightly maybe A3 size page, but very small names were written. It was a very complex web actually, like a graph with numerous names and lines drawn, between those names. There were a few solid lines and a few dotted lines. It was an extremely complex web of names of people. And when I saw closely, I saw, Anthony Ryder's name very down below, and then his teachers. He learned from Ted Set Jacobs at the Art Students League, and and then above Ted St. Jacobs was his teacher, and so on. And right at, and I looked up, there were some of the Renaissance masters, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, right at the top, and even above them there were their teachers. So then Tony told me that this is a master student relationship, how it has been coming
Tony
down.
is?
We used to call him Tony, Anthony Ryder.
Anthony Ryder, I thought he is the teacher from India.
No, no, no.
Oh,
Anthony Ryder is where I went.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. So he told me that this chart is basically like a recording of who learned from whom, and it was a very complex, because sometimes you learn from multiple teachers. So one name can have multiple lines coming down to him, because he learned from multiple teachers. And if a dotted line is there, which means he learned from that teacher for a short while. If it is a solid line, which means you learned from him for at least 2 years. So the good part is, see, there are a lot of learnings. This is a craft, really. Any kind of oil painting has been there for several hundreds of years, and there are a lot of people learn by experiments. A lot of people learn by doing mistakes. So there are several do's and don'ts, and several ways of achieving the same result. So it's basically, when you learn from somebody like that, it is a culmination of knowledge which has been coming down through the ages, from one teacher to the other, from one teacher to his student, and from that person to his student. It kind of comes down, and it has come down from the ages, and some of the best practices are included there. So before you continue, I don't want to forget this question, so I'm going to ask you this right now. To all the artists who are going to watch this, what is that one thing that you want to say that you learned? That is something that people generally don't realize when they are painting, and they must look into it. What is that one point that all the artists should have in mind when they are painting? Like I completely studied and learned oil painting and drawing in graphite. Today there are so many media, and if you ask that question in a very general way, if you ask me, there is what is the biggest learning is not. You should always learn the hard way, or not to take shortcuts. If you're learning, you have to because now a lot of people uh, can draw using a grid, or people are even going beyond that. People simply taking prints on canvas and simply painting over it. So I mean, if you really want to call yourself an artist or a representational artist, and one of the main skills that separates an artist from another person or a layman is his ability to see, is his ability to draw, right? That is, I feel, is one of the main skills in at least an artist. See, why will somebody, let's say, you're in school, uh, if you draw well, somebody your teacher or your friends would say, I think you should take art. Why do you think I mean, it's the basic thing, your ability to draw. And if you aren't even doing that, if you're taking a print and if you're drawing using a grid, fine, it is fine if you want to do it. But at least you should know how to draw. At least you should know how to see, because an artist's vision, an artist's sight is the only thing that separates him from another layman who's not an artist. So your vision, your ability to see better. So when I'm sitting across a room, I see so many faces. I mean, back then also, and I still do. I still am looking at certain things, and people might say, "Okay, what is it? What is this guy looking at?" Staring at me. So yeah, I think you have to be completely obsessed and obsessed with your craft, with what you're doing, and not take shortcuts, at least in the early phase of your learning. Because see, what we learned is drawing from life. There always used to be, from day one, there was a live model who sat there from the first hour of my from my learning over there, from the first day, and it was completely like you're thrown into the ocean, you know. Okay, when you were learning with Tony, with Anthony Ryder, I was learning from day one. There was a live model, and before that, we were drawing from photographs. We're making a grid and everything, and it's completely like your all your support has been taken off, and so it kind of builds a very different way of seeing, and that is something what you learn the hard way cannot be taken away from you. And I have never felt, I would say, insecure or about how things will go, because of the foundation. Actually, it is. I feel it is so strong, and I always feel very confident about whatever I'm doing, and with so many things coming in, with people doing so many things with AI and everything, but I never feel intimidated, because you have this confidence of the foundation with you.
Right. That's amazing, sir. So, your paintings right now that you're working on, I just want to know where do you exhibit? How do you exhibit? And if someone wants to connect with you, where do they connect with you?
Yeah, so there are a few galleries that represent me, and they so a gallery would take your work, and gallery definitely promotes the artist. So my works can be viewed and taken from those galleries. Like there's Uchan in New Delhi, then and there are a few other galleries. There's Time and Space in Bangalore. So and the other way too is I also I'm gonna have a solo show next year in January in Delhi at India Habitat Center. So yeah, through galleries, through exhibits is how an artist would reach out to the general audience, and definitely if people are listening to this podcast, there is Instagram, there is my website AmitSrivastavaFineArt.com is how they can look at my work.
Okay, all right. That's great. I'm sure a lot of people are going to reach out to you. Seeing your work. So, when I paint in India as a muralist versus when I talk to the muralists outside India, the ones who are painting in the US, somewhere, or in the UK, there's a difference in the acceptance of art by the society. The way people see muralists outside India versus the way people see muralists in India is very, very different. And it's a constant fight for me to spread awareness, to keep talking about murals, to keep letting people know that this is also a form of art. I want to know from your perspective and from your side, how do you think that the market, the audience is in India versus abroad? And how do they accept and understand art and how it is in India?
Yeah, so with every country or every region, there are sensibilities and there are preferences, there are likes and dislikes. For example, just to quickly take an example, if I go to China or if I go to Japan, the kind of art that is happening here, you would see it is completely different. The palette, the sensibilities, what artists are sensitive to, because it is all artist is all about where he has grown up, his region, and everything. So if you look at people, the kind of art that is collected in India would be different from the kind of art or what is being made or collected in Europe and similarly in US. So when you move different countries or regions, there would be a common, like I studied in the US and I'm doing representational art. It is a very old genre, and it is kind of an, I would say, an evergreen genre. I mean, if it is done well, it is everlasting, because very different art movements, they would come and go, but realism has stayed and has been a kind of a, has been there for long. So yeah, having said that, different countries, and for example, there is more acceptance to what the kind of art I do in the West. Whereas over here, there is, I would say, less awareness
Of realism.
of for representational art, in the sense that people think, oh, this is very, it is kind of photographic. Yeah, the people over here look at it slightly differently, as if they kind of I wouldn't say they really they don't look down upon it. Some people who are aware, who are well traveled, they are aware of the skill set or the kind of training that goes behind creating that kind of a work. But sometimes people do, because a lot of people are taking shortcuts and doing it in a very different way. They actually think it's there's nothing great about representational art. It is quite photographic. There's nothing to think about it. Whereas uh, the whole concept, the whole storyline of what a realist artist is depicting is extremely complex. He, for example, whatever paintings I made for my uh, independent, urban Indian woman, you have a concept in mind, then you do come some kind of storyboarding, and you think of a scenario of how you want to portray. It's not like you click a picture and you simply paint it. There are a lot of things that you change. There is lighting, how you make a viewer's attention go to a certain part of the painting. It's all very well composed. You have to think about composition. You have to think of the story. What are you trying to show? It's not simply simply taking a picture and painting it. There's a lot of thought that goes behind creating a proper finished representational painting. So that kind of awareness. But as artists, it is also our job and duty to make people aware of what goes behind creating such works. And and I feel realism is on the revival. It is definitely on the revival all over the world, and more and more people are looking at it seriously in India as well, as a proper form of art.
I just want to give you this, I want to share this with you. Recently, I was talking about this project with an NGO, and the kids are supposed to create the artwork. I told them, let's create a mural together. So there are 3 walls. So I told them, I'll create one, I'll create my own design, and you guys come up with your own design, and let's create something together. So I worked really hard on the design. I took 7 days to come up with the design. The kids just told me they went to the mid journey, they gave the prompt, and they got a beautiful mural image. And they showed me, this is what we are going to create. I was dumbstruck. I didn't know how to react, because here I gave my 7 days for the mural, and there they probably gave 4-5 hours and came up with a really good design, to be honest. So, I'm also trying to understand and draw the line. These are the conversations that we are going to have to finally come up to an answer where we realize what is helpful and what is not. Where do we really draw the line?
AI AI needs a data set. It needs billions of images, to come up with its own, which basically means it is actually feeding upon what is already there. But what is in your head right now is completely unique. And so, I mean, it is your choice if you want to make a unique piece of work or something which has already been there. Maybe somebody's not seen it, but it is already there. AI would simply jumble it up and present it to you. So, a lot of see, there is a lot. Looking at a lot of, there's a lot of talk about the uniqueness of an artwork. Um, for example, like when you're coming from an art school, or you always have the influence of your teacher, and it stays with you for a long time. But slowly, an artist develops his or her own voice, his or her own compositions. The items they pick would be very unique to them, very unique to their likings. For example, like let's say I'm a tea coffee person, so I completely get drawn to cafes, to bars, to coffee, the smell of coffee, and naturally, what I'm putting in my compositions is a lot of. I mean, if you've seen some of my still life, they will revolve a lot of around tea, coffee, or good wine, or something like that. So you are putting yourself into it. Every piece of artwork is a self portrait. If you ask me, it is actually a portrait of the artist, whether or not he's literally doing a portrait of himself. It is a portrait of his feelings, what his likes and dislikes are. You are actually putting yourself on the canvas. So yeah, so it has, and when you, I mean, stay away from these things. I mean, as much as you can, you are actually bringing out a very unique piece. Definitely, what you're saying. I mean, the kids, shelling out a fantastic mural in a matter of a few seconds, and you were. But yeah, if you can kind of find the midway, it would be great, because I want artists to really think, and because that is what defines them. Really.
This is going to be probably the last question, and a very important one. Uh, as I told you, most of the people who are going to view this podcast are the one who are a little lost in their life, or they're thinking of how to get into the career of art. Most of them probably won't come from an art background, some of them will. But this is going to be very important if it comes from you, someone who has such a solid experience in this art world. You have seen a lot, you have been in a lot of places, you have exhibited many times. So one advice or a suggestion for all the kids out there, if they want to make a career in art and not just work hard and give their all, but more than that, how do they make a career in art? Where do they start from and where do they go? Because there's no pamphlet, there's no one who is going to tell them. There's no neighbor who is also an artist for them. So
To be honest, even I'm finding my way around, but I can tell you a few things um, which work, and which may work uh, quickly or very soon, or it may take time, but they will definitely work. So one is definitely a good foundation, and whether you do it online, or you have a mentor, or you go to a teacher or a guru, is the other thing is self belief. Is so as you said, self belief in your own hard work, in your and your belief in your craft. It is a craft, actually. You have to take it like that, and not look for shortcuts, at least in the initial learning phase. And for you to able to last long, I mean, this process can take a while. It would always be good if you have a certain source of income, whether it is through commissions, whether you're doing some commercial work, whether it is some other kind of rental income, or you're doing you're teaching workshops or something. Like I do workshops, I do commissions also. apart from my own line of work, which I create and exhibit in exhibitions and my solo shows. I do commissions, portrait commissions. I do book covers for Penguin, and then I teach also workshops. So you have to supplement your things till the time you can create something and it is selling fast, or you're completely in demand. So that it kind of gives you space and mental freedom to create what you want to. If you are complete, if you're always under pressure, that will not do good to you on to your artistic side at all. So definitely, if somebody is starting out, whatever they're doing, whether they want to do get into representational art, realism, which is a very skill based genre, still some foundation would be helpful. If they are young kids, if they can get into a art school, well and good. If they're not, today there are many avenues, many good academies who are online, and their work can be critiqued also. I mean, it is not like a one-way channel where you're simply watching some video of the artist. You can actually enroll on an online academy where you have a teacher who can, even if it is on a monthly basis or fortnightly, somebody can look at your work, they can track your progress. So invest some time, at least a couple of years, and during that time, if you can curtail your itch to show your work on social media and try and get those likes, because a lot of times the people who are looking at the work, they are laymen. Yeah. So they would simply find it wow. So which may actually push you on the track. Okay, I'm doing really good. I'm doing very well. So, but have somebody who's really into the field of art look at your work and guide you. So it is always good to have a mentor or somebody you can learn from in those foundation years.
All right. So, anything that you would want to add that I have missed out on? Any question that I have missed out on?
No, I think this is you really put your questions very well, and you covered most of the areas which people listening to this podcast would want to know. But at the same time, I would like to add something. The other day you were talking about some kind of frustrations and all. I want to tell you something that this is an ecosystem. It's an ecosystem, and if you persist doing what you are doing to the best of your capabilities, you will sooner or later find opportunities. Like yourself, you today have been like you. So, but having a plan for yourself, knowing what you want, is very important. So whether you want social media success and therefore generate leads and clients through that, nothing right or wrong anywhere. Even that is a business. Somebody is paying you to do what you're doing, and they're liking your work. So, but try and define what you want to do and chart out your path accordingly. If you want to be, let's say, if you want to do portraits and figures in the proper way, definitely it is a very skill based thing. There are a lot of technicalities involved. So it will be good to invest some time and energy in learning the nuances and the finer points of the medium of portraiture. But if you want to do something else, or I mean, whatever you do, just invest some time into knowing about it. So that will go a long way.
So, I mean, this has been, for personally me, I have learned a lot. I think this was more of a one-on-one session rather than a podcast, because all the questions that I had, that I wanted to know what happens in a mind of someone who is this experienced and who has learned from so many beautiful, amazing artists. How do they think? So this was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for giving me your time. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And one more thing, I am going to join your workshop very soon. I want to learn from you. I want to, whenever next time, whenever you're having a workshop somewhere.
Yeah, whenever I'm having one in Bangalore, I'll let you know. And thank you for having me on your fantastic podcast. And it was a pleasure interacting with you today. And I wish you all the best.
Looking forward to many of your work in the future.
Thank you. Thank you, Sneha. All the best to you. Thanks.
Thank you so much.